Discovery Houston with you through Hawaii. We sure do. By the way, do you want me to continue calling you Discovery or just say SWAT team? And Discovery Houston, we've got good TV, but I've got no comm with you. How do you read? Over. Okay, Discovery, we've got you loud and clear now. Discovery Houston, we have you now. Discovery Houston, loud and clear. Yeah, those two look super, Bo. It's a tribute to the work of a fine seamstress there. And Bo, we've got an exceptionally good picture of that, and that looks just perfect.
Okay, you're happy with both of these? One question about the procedures you set up. When you refer to the base of the fly swatter, are you referring to down here or up here?
Standby one. And while we're discussing that, what we'd like you to do is take the fly swatter and hold the swizzle stick so we can get a close-up look of the middle joint. You're going to have to elevate that up a little bit. Oh, right about there.
We've got it taped here, as you instructed. We can tape that a little better if you think we should.
Now, there's some question about the length that we've extended it to. Could you tell us how many holes down you have it?
I got 9 showing. There may be one under the tape, but it's as far as it would go.
Roger, there seems to be some discussion here that we may have been working with a little bit shorter version of it, but that may be the difference in hardware. We'll get back to you on that.
The next thing on the procedures, it says that the curtain flap should be mounted so that it is aft of the fly swatter. And the question is, what part of the plastic flap should be aft of what part of the fly swatter? It says plastic flap should be 4 inches aft of the fly swatter.
Okay, we copy that. Standby one.
Okay, on the lacrosse stick, can you see it in the in your view?
Okay, I've got that, Dave. Okay, what we need to do is if you take your right hand and take the end of the wire and make it free. Pull it all the way out. There you go. That's where we want you to start. And take your left hand and secure that end. Take about 4 or 5 wraps through a notch around the frame, and repeat that on the other side. Take 12 inches of your plastic tubing and slide it over the top of that, down to the point where you secure it. That's affirmative. And then with 2 more notches, secure the plastic tubing to the frame at the just above the point where you've got the 20 gauge wire secured.
I understand that. At the apex of the wire, where we've stripped the wire and twisted it together.
I see. You've actually got that wire twisted together already?
That's correct.
Okay. It's
twisted at this point.
Okay, we could
stripped and twisted at this point, with the intent of running a plastic tubing up here and a plastic tubing up here, and affixing the plastic tubing to the frame and affixing the wire to the frame.
That's affirmative. The only thing we don't need is at the top where you've twisted the 2 wires together. We don't want that stripped. We want the coated wire up there. That is your breakaway point, and we are still working on a determination of how many turns we want that wire wrapped around each other. The idea is to create...
I understand. It's Teflon wire, and I wrapped it around probably a dozen turns and pulled it apart very gently with my hands. So the Teflon, of course, is just too slippery.
Roger, we copy that.
Coated wire that we have on board.
Okay, we copy that, and we'll make a determination on that. We'll take another look at it and see what the best answer is. But for right now, we want to be able to... You've got the correct configuration. We'll catch you in a minute. Discovery Houston with you now through TDRS.
Okay, Houston, we're with you. And can we talk a little bit more about these tie-down procedures?
Roger, Jeff, and let me tell you a little bit more. We've had a bit of a caucus here. Your question about the base of the cone, you were actually right. The point that you're pointing to, the place where the small end of the cone attaches to the swizzle stick, is the base of the cone that we're referring to in the message.
Okay. In other words, that's really the apex of the cone.
That's affirmative. And also the statement regarding having the plastic flap 4 inches aft of the fly swatter, that should have been deleted from the message. We've got the folks back from the WEDIF run now, and that is not the intent of it. We will be putting together a package that will real time to you tomorrow that will refine a few of these things, and but we'll be happy to discuss anything with you right now.
Okay, another question. It says to insert the fly swatter underneath straps to the right of the end effector handrail base, but the little diagram that you sent us looking into the RMS end effector shows it on the left, and which do you mean?
Discovery Houston, we're getting cabin TV now.
Okay. Ray's got the lacrosse stick.
Okay, we're looking at your handiwork.
Yeah, the tubing is just sort of a pull through. It pulls easily through these pieces of wire and this piece of tape up here. It's not sticky back, it's just looped through some tape. The thing is rigid metal up to about here. After that, it just has the stiffness of the tape, the plastic, and the tubing. As you can see, we were not able to make that all flat just simply because of the memory that there is in the tubing. The break point on the wire, the wrapped part, is right up in here. And what we assume is this will catch, it'll pull the tubing out, and it'll break the wire at that point. Everything else is, there's some silver tape here, there's gray tape down here. Is this what you had in mind?
Stand by one. Okay, Ray, first of all, it looks to us like you have a solid piece of tubing going all the way across the top. Is that true?
Jerry, we kind of had to do that because of the memory that's in that tubing in zero G. It won't, if you take two pieces of it, it tends to come to a point up at the top here. When you cut it, if you make two pieces, it kind of tends to come to a point like this instead of making a nice curve around. It won't hold the radius of the curvature. But it'll pull off of here easily. It's not attached anywhere, and the break in the wire is right up here at about this position on the loop.
The tubing is designed so that it's not attached to anything. It'll just pull through all of this stuff that we've got down here.
Okay, and the wire inside
If you
will...
want, we can carefully cut that tubing.
Okay, I think that's a vote down here to go ahead and cut the tubing so that we'll have a known quantity being pulled, and that will be the wire itself.
Well, but there's no tension on the tubing, Jerry. If I pull on it up here at the top, it'll just slide right out of there. And you understand what we're saying here is if we cut it, instead of this nice smooth loop around here, it's going to end up looking like this, like my fingers are kind of pointed. It'll have a big sharp discontinuity in it.
Okay, understand that. The one we've got on the ground has the two stems coming up of tubing and then a large exposed area of nothing but wire going between. And that's kind of what we expected to see.
Oh. So you want us to cut the tubing?
That sounds good, yeah, where you got your fingers, so you just got essentially two fishing poles with the wires hanging out the end of both, and you twist the two wires together.
Or do you want it more down here toward the top of the lacrosse bat?
That's affirm, and then as we talked before, we want the twist point of the wires offset so it's not at the apex of the circle.
Yeah, his Ray's pointing to where the twisted part of the wires are. The question is now, do you want us to cut it right down here next to the piece of flight data file cover, or up here higher where we've got a hold of it now?
I'd say about an inch beyond the flight data file cover would probably look good, somewhere in there.
Okay, we'll try that.
Okay, and we didn't...
Cut a little bit on that while Ray shows you the other one.
Okay, and also, Don, it looks like you taped the tubing to the fly swatter material, and we'd like to have that cut.
we want that to be two separate pieces?
Those are just loops. We folded the tape in half at that point, and it'll slide right out. It's not stuck to it. It's just looped through some tape that's folded over.
Okay, Ray, our concern is the tubing may take a set which would then pull the fly swatter over and make it ineffective. The tubing itself is attached back on the metallic portion, is that true?
Yes, the tubing is attached with a wire wrap back at the metallic portion.
Okay, we understand that. We'd like to go ahead and take the tape off that holds the tubing to the fly swatter so that we have two separate mechanisms
Okay, so you want the fly swatter to be more flat.
That's a firm and free to move on its own.
Okay, this is the other one, and all we did was wrap the cone portion with gray tape.
Okay, that looks good. You're making the guys on the ground jealous. It looks a lot nicer than ours.
We had a lot of practice in arts and crafts at summer camp.
Well, you did good. And the thought behind separating those two that Don's working on is that'll give us three different mechanisms that we can try, ultimately.
Okay.
Okay, is that looking better to you? We cut them off about an inch above the tops of the lacrosse stick here, and the wires are joined together about up at this point at the top where my fingers are now.
Okay, Don, we see that, and I think everybody's happy with that.
Okay, and because of the memory of the tubing, hold on that for just a second. It tends to curl off in that direction, as you can probably see, because of the bend that's in the that's already in the tubing that it lives with when it's coiled up.
Okay, we understand that, and when we mount that at the 9 o'clock position on the end effector, we'll put that one, the one with the tubing on it, closest to the can. And the thought being then, if we use that one, we would rotate the wrist 180 degrees, so the fly swatter would be the one to hit first, and then the one with the wire would be the second one, and that looks like that would be a good approach attitude. That's right, Ray. It'll be pushing that direction.
Okay, so the end effector is going to be over on the side that I'm on here. Is that correct? And it's going to be mounted on it that way?
We're going to mount it on the 9 o'clock position as you're looking into the can, Don, and then we'll roll 180 degrees if we opt to use this set of mechanisms.
Okay, so the end effector can is over on the side where Ray's hand is, and then the satellite will be coming up on the side where I am?
That's affirm. It'll be going...
Okay, I guess maybe it'll push it against there far enough, but this wire loop is going to be quite a ways away from the satellite that way.
Yeah, I understand that, but
we
we will expect that those things will be pushed in far enough that they will be riding on the side of the spacecraft, and we might even have to put a little bit of a yaw into the wrist to get a little bit better angle on it if it's back too far.
Okay. You want us to give it a little more rotation here so you can get a good view of the thing and have that to record and look at later?
Okay, that looks super to us. I think that strap that's on the end of the fly swatter, your swizzle stick, that's just snapped on there. Is that true?
It's snapped on, then we reinforced it by stitching it to this other portion so they can use it as a wrist tether.
Okay, super.
Can you see that?
Yeah, that looks fine. We'll want to make sure that when we get that inserted that it's not up in the field of view of the camera.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Okay, just talking about when the guys are installing that onto the can of the end effector, we want to make sure that that strap stays out of the field of view of your end effector wrist camera.
Okay, copy. And once again on this, I don't know, lacrosse stick curtain stay thing, the thing is rigid up until the bottom of the second window here because of that metal. So we can't get in real close with this one. We can probably only catch the top window in that loop.
Okay, understand, Ray.
Sure, I guess if you like, they could probably cut this strap off after they get out there and get the thing attached just to make sure it doesn't float around and get in the way of the camera.
I don't think that's required, Don. I think they can just make sure it gets under the... I don't think it's required to cut it off. I think just as long as they make sure they get it underneath one of the straps on the PRD, it'll be fine.
Yeah, no, that'll work. Okay. And the handle of the arm here has some Velcro on it. Do we need to take it off, or is it okay to leave it on there? Right about where Ray's hand is.
Yeah, I see it, and we had it in the tank too. That sometimes tended to catch the PRD strap and try to roll the thing as we were tightening the PRD. If you can get it off easily, it might help. Otherwise, they'll just have to try to keep the strap away from it. Or you might just put some tape over it.
Okay, we'll try, if we can't get it off, we'll just wrap some tape around it.
Okay, one other thing, you might want to go ahead and put a little tape at the place where the mechanism telescopes, just in case that little shear pin on the locking mechanism breaks. You might try to keep it from rolling. Roger that.
Okay.
That should be okay.
Okay, Don, thanks.
Not a bad view from up here.
It's gorgeous. Did you teach Don how to do that tubectomy?
You'll like it. If you can keep the Teeters TV for a while, there's a real nice path across the African continent coming up here. You get to see some of this stuff, storms and stuff we've been talking about.
Sure, that'd be great with us.
We're going to tilt it up a little bit and show you what the horizon looks like back behind us. There, right there. Okay, you can have the cameras if you like, Houston, and we'll just stand by.
Okay, thanks a lot. Discovery, Houston.
Go ahead, Dave.
On the wire snare tool, just one little point to fine-tune things a little bit. We'd like the junction that you made, the two-wire twists, to point inwards from the loop rather than outwards, so that they don't possibly catch on the satellite somehow.
Okay, the bitter ends to be twisted to the inside of the loop so they don't catch on a solar cell or something.
That's affirmative.
still got the TV there, Houston. You can probably get back down here toward the tail a little further and see the coast of Africa coming up.
Okay, looks like we're about to come feet dry here.
Okay, in fact, if you want to look at camera A right now, it's just coming past the RMS.
Okay, we'll do that.
Although the camera you've got is pretty good too. That might even be better. Just leave it where it is, and there it is. It's coming into your view now if you've got camera Delta.
Tally-ho.
Looks very dry down there.
Sure does. Discovery, Houston, we're ready for the biomed checks anytime you are.
Okay, let me see. We're ready for those. I can see some blowing dust coming across the desert there out of some of the darker features, and looks like it's streaming out for lots and lots of miles.
Roger.
They're in the midst of getting into their lower torsos right now, if you can keep up with that on your timeline there. So we're a little bit behind the planned one, I think, but I don't think that's a big deal.
Yeah, no sweat. And that made it look like you were leaving the contrail.
Yeah, the contrail is coming out of that large circular feature that hopefully you can see right down there. The circular feature must be 20 or miles or 30 miles across, and it's, I guess, just a super big dust storm that it seems to be trailing back from that area right there.
Roger.
And some clouds also streaming across in that direction. Well, the visibility is pretty good. I can see the Dakar Peninsula way out the top of the top window.
Better than last week.
For sure.
Discovery Houston.
Go ahead.
Roger, we got about 6 minutes to TDRS LOS, and we're keeping a solid signal here. If you could, we're ready for the biomed checks anytime you need to set up the COM config.
Okay, let me see how close to that we are.
In Discovery Houston, the note we'd like to refer you to is on page 5-2 of the EVA prep. Discovery Houston, we see you've configured the COM, but we've got only about a minute left before TDRS LOS. We'll be talking to you at Gargity at 1-4, and we'd like you to take tank 3 O2 heaters to off for us to balance up tanks 3 and 4.
Tank 3 O2's to off.
That's firm.
How do you hear me now?
And we've got EV1 loud and clear, and we've got the biomed data down here.
Go to B, Dave, and see if I get you. Box, B box.
Loud and clear. Discovery,
Yesterday.
Discovery Houston, reconfigure the UHF for Yargity.